I'm sure you guys all know about the gacha kids that have been harassed, doxxed, and all that by people who are vehemently anti-gacha. I do not support these people and I hate that it happened, but it's a necessary thing to talk about in my opinion. I held off making a video on this for a little while lest I be targeted myself, but I'm pretty sure that I can make a video now. First, allow me to say that you likely won't be targeted by anyone, and if you do, blocking anyone who sends suspicious links or something harassing is pretty much a good default course of action. It's very likely that nothing will happen to you, even more insured if you're careful, which won't be hard. So just one last time for clarity's sake, you are most likely not in danger of anything. I'm not trying to fearmonger here or anything, just get information out there. Let's get into it, shall we? From what I've seen, a lot of gacha doxings happen because people give the information out themselves, whether it be they were lied to or they were manipulated into giving it. Take what happened in the Jellybug situation, for example. She was blackmailed into showing her face, and due to the horrible people behind it, had it leaked to the public. There was no real quote-unquote hacking going on, so to speak, but just information that was manipulated into being given. I'm going to sound like a pre-K teacher here, but you really shouldn't give out any information to anyone, including sketchy websites, even if you are being threatened. Chances are the threats are either empty, or if not, your safety still comes before whatever they happen to be holding above your head. There's also the issue of sketchy links that people click on, so again, this goes for everyone. Just don't click on links someone you don't know sends you. Usually they're IP grabbers or some similar sites that indirectly give someone access to your account, and they're commonly disguised as fan art or just a funny video or something, or if it's a bot, they just advertise it as like, hey, make money here, you know what I mean. If someone wants to make you fan art, usually they'll just tag you in a post or send an image file and not link it. Most sites like Twitter, Instagram, and Discord also display a video preview where you can play the linked video in the browser without having to click off site, and very few websites don't have this feature when linked. Those websites are usually kind of unknown, and if someone's linking you to a super niche and unknown video hosting site, usually the intentions aren't great. Those types of websites tend to have less restrictions regarding content posted, and even if you do get banned, it's not like you would actually use the site frequently, so you can't upload and link kind of disturbing types of videos. But if you can't immediately identify a link that you're sent, you really just shouldn't click on it, just a general rule of thumb. And by identify, I mean seeing the website's name, the link, like youtube.com or something. Even then, it's best just to stay away from links sent by strangers altogether. This also doesn't just apply to gacha people, by the way. Scammers and shitty people are everywhere, and it's just best to be cautious. Also, don't trust anyone who says they're an admin or some other kind of site owner without double-checking Google. I learned that the hard way. Usually they'll try and manipulate you into giving information or something like that, so yeah. Just don't give away any information to anybody, especially not someone who claims to be some kind of owner and it doesn't check out on a Google run. There's been some targeting of communities that don't really do anything wrong from what I've seen. People have bragged about quote-unquote infiltrating regular gacha Discord servers, group chats, communities in general, and sending the people there virus download links. My question is, why target just random people? Like, I guess I could understand only targeting NSFW or gross servers, but these are just people minding their business. I get it, the gacha community is certainly not everyone's cup of tea, but why go out of their way to just attack random people who aren't really doing anything wrong? Don't you have better things to do? You're just making the cause of what you're trying to stand for look incredibly bad, and I use the word stand for very lightly because this isn't a noble cause at all. You're just ruining the reputation of people who would otherwise share an opinion with you. Not to mention, you're also giving these people more ammunition to say that their detractors are bad people, and overall, it's just a horrible idea because you're only hurting your own quote-unquote movement by doing that. Same with some of the gacha kids. What do you gain about being so horrible towards other people? What do you get out of sending your fans to witch hunt someone, or by spamming their comments, or by telling someone you wish they were dead? The same thing I talked about earlier, like, applies to them too, except your community already has a shit reputation, so why worsen it? I'm assuming you're pro-gacha, which is why you attack people that criticize your community, but in doing that, you only prove them right. Attacking people and being super immature only solidifies the conception that all gachus are rude, belligerent children who are way out of control. It's a rather simple thought process, really. My community is already hated for being immature, rude, and outlandish. How will I respond to someone who criticizes the community for this? I think I'm going to be immature, rude, and outlandish. I don't get it, honestly. I get that a lot of them are likely kids, but I feel like this is a pretty obvious thing to be aware of. That's kind of another thing, both sides are really young. The anti-gachas seem to be slightly older, but they're still kids because I doubt any normal human being that's past the age of like 16 would actively try and dox and harass literal children, but I guess I was proven wrong with the Jellybug case. I mean, seriously, imagine being like a grown-ass man doxing a child on the internet. That's honestly really sad. Sorry I keep revisiting that situation, but it is relevant to what we're talking about.
I just got up and walked to the door, and I saw it.
Ironically, the anti-gacha community has a similar dynamic to the gacha community. A majority of the users are respectful in their opinions and can agree to disagree, but another very vocal portion just can't handle the other side's opinions, and while some are worse than others, there's still the common ground with those minorities being really vocal and really annoying and sometimes kind of destructive. For example, there are the people that get into arguments just to berate and insult each other without offering any rational points and opinions or listening to each other's perspective. I kind of used to be part of that category where I just got into fights for the hell of it and presented my points in a really rude manner, but I've since learned that it's not really productive to argue with people that won't listen or just argue with people in the first place. While I am open to a civil discussion revolving around the topic, the way I used to go about things was kind of immature and tiring now that I look back on it. I suppose there's no point in asking people who do engage in these types of arguments to stop or reconsider or anything, because if they want to fill up my pinned comments with hundreds of replies, that's up to them, but I personally don't find it very fulfilling, and rarely was someone's opinion genuinely changed. Then there are the people that engage in those kinds of arguments with people who aren't even looking for a fight, and people who are just respectfully voicing their opinions and get shit on by these people. I've seen so many people say, but you use gacha, you can't agree with her, or whatever in their replies, and it's honestly kind of tiring because sometimes people just don't realize that it's possible to like something, but also agree with criticisms of it. It's also possible to be critical of something and yet respect the opinions of people that disagree or simply part of the thing you're criticizing. It's possible to reach a middle ground in terms of opinions, and people don't need to be attacked for having a foot on both sides, so to speak. And then there are the degenerates, the people that dox, harass, make porn of children's OCs, encourage suicide, send people gore, etc. They're the minority of the minority, but they're just so outrageous it's hard not to focus on them and make it seem like there are more than they actually are, but they do the most damage in terms of both reputation and to other people. The gore senders and the weirdos of both sides do a lot of harm to the people that they come in contact with, especially considering the fact that there's a fuck ton of kids in the equation here. And then one side uses those people to say, hey, look, this entire community is bad, fuck these people, and vice versa, when in reality it's a lot more complicated than ooga booga, one side completely bad. Obviously there are people that are way out of line in their dislike for the other side, but again, they are just a vocal minority, and the best way to deal with being harassed by someone is to simply not give them attention, block them if you can, and just don't engage with them. Again, a lesson that took me an unfortunately long time to learn. Just ignore the people that look for a fight because it's going to go nowhere, and both people's times are just going to end up being wasted.
The apple. What? Go ahead and try to hit me if you're able. Guess you figured out that mercy's off the table.
I do not associate myself with the anti-gacha community. It's just too well known for being full of assholes and losers, and I also think that anti is a bit too strong of a word. It is very true that I do hold contempt for the community, but I can also recognize the people in it that actually do want change and are respectful for the most part. I can separate my personal feelings about the community from my logical opinion of it, as I have had very fucking terrible experiences with the people there. I've mentioned it a lot before, but genuinely having been harassed by some people from the community doesn't make me want to like it any, but I can't set aside my personal distaste to give honest critique of the community and the people in it. While my experiences obviously impact the way I present my opinions, I do bring them up as examples quite often, and I do try to keep a generally neutral opinion on it all, meaning I don't associate myself with the gacha community as well. It is true that I've made kind of a name for myself in the community, despite not having touched the game for any recreational reason and actively being open about my dislike for it. I don't know. I just like to think of myself as simply an outside critic, but that doesn't really matter too much because either way, people will see me as one or the other, and I can't just create my own side to take. That's just kind of how it is, I guess, which I don't mind too terribly, to be honest. I don't pay much mind to those who perceive me as having one opinion, but hopefully me saying this cleared some things up. But I do dislike the gacha community. I also do heavily dislike the anti-gacha community, purely because of the people they hurt, and they show similar levels of maturity to the gacha kids I criticize. The term anti-gacha is really broad, which is unfortunate as it's been tainted by the people that think it helps to hack and dox and generally just be assholes. I propose a simple label of gacha critics, as it's a more specific label that doesn't have any real ties to the anti-gacha side of things, and it's just a suggestion. I don't know. Anyways, that about does it for this video, and I'll be wrapping it all up now. That was pretty much it in terms of today's video. I apologize if I didn't cover the hackings in enough detail, as I found it kind of tedious to gather information, but that wasn't the main point of the video anyways. I hate to admit it, but I have been very starved for content lately, and I would appreciate it if you left your suggestions in the comments section down below, as it would help me out a lot when producing videos in the future. Also, I've been considering making a gaming channel where I'd mostly play Minecraft, but I would also play other miscellaneous games I do enjoy. I'll leave a poll in the top of the description in the pinned comment if you feel like voting, if post-production me even remembers to make it. If I forget, just leave a comment about it. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, I make plenty more like it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.